Hello and welcome. My name is Rick Baxter with Cost Control Software out of Carmel, Indiana. Today's video, I'm going to take you through a resource planner for specialty subcontractors. So if you're in the specialty subcontracting business, this video is for you. We're going to take a look at 4 key views and functions for resource allocation and task assignments in a very visual format. Okay, and I'm going to take you through 4 different views. So the first one is the current work in process, so you can see what work is in process, and that's a job level view. Then I'm going to take you through the current resource assignment, so you can see who's assigned to which task. And then third, I'm going to take you through what's called the resource sequence information. It's kind of like a to-do list, and for each person, we'll show you how you can view what is in their sequence, or if you are the person, for example, if you're Mark Hansen and you want to see what's in your list of to-dos, you can bring up this view and it shows the current assignments. And then finally, I'll take you through the dispatch board. So that is the ability for a dispatcher in the back office to kind of make assignments to the individual resources and kind of pick the best person or the person with the right location to service the service work or the job that is called for. So those are the 4 views. Let's go through them carefully in the live software. First one is the current work in process. So let's take a look. Let me move this out of the way a moment. And here we are in the PlannerOne Resource Planner. This is an addition to the NAV software. It is an optional granule available to you for scheduling purposes. This first view is the job Gantt chart view. Lets me see the jobs down the left side, a description of the jobs here, and then the duration of the job is shown in a kind of a calendar view. This is the time scale view here across the top, and you can see each job and its durations. Now, some of you may have jobs that have multiple tasks during that job. Some of you may only have one task, one at the start of the job and one at the end of the job. Just depends on the nature of your business, but each of these bars represents when that particular job is going to start and when it is going to finish up. And there could be an activity right on the first activity obviously is the start of the job, and the last activity is the end of the job. Some of you may have just an activity at the start and an activity at the end. Either way, but that's the duration, and you can see then the various jobs and their activities, whether it's one activity or multiple activities during the course of a given job. So that's the first view I wanted you to get a sense for. That's basically kind of a job level view. The second one is the current resource assignments. I'd like to see each resource down the left side instead of jobs down the left side, and then the time scale across the top and what is currently assigned to each of our different resources. Let's go take a look at that concept. Move this out of the way. That is called the resource Gantt chart view. That's this one here. So down the left side is the list of your various resources. It could be Amy and Scott. It could be Labor 20. I'll tell you about that one a little bit later on. Mark and Mike. And then these rectangles on the board. This is our timeline board up here at the top. The plan, the schedule, whatever you want to call it. And each of these small rectangles or large rectangles, depending on the duration of that particular task, represents the work activity. Now, some of you might have a work activity that only lasts a day, or maybe it's only 2 hours in a given day, and sometimes people will have more than one task in a given day, and so that would be this example, where you can expand and see 2, 3, 4, 10 tasks, whatever, that's assigned to that particular resource. So there are different views, just depends on how your business needs to see the activities. So this is and it's in the timeline view, and of course you can it is touch sensitive, so I'm using my mouse, but you can slide the board as needed, up or down, back and forth, to basically see the work activity to the different resources on the board. So that's view number 2. It's called the resource assignments. Lets you see it there. And by the way, on that view, that's actually a pretty good view, because this view does allow you to make changes as well. So if, for example, here we've got Scott Graff that's got this assignment here for, looks like, some analysis and design work. If I need to move that activity, I can come into an action called move. See, that's active right now. So I could say that's going to be moved a day, and I can literally just drag and drop that activity to a different period of time. I can move it forward, I can move it back. Just depends on how you are processing your information. If you're the scheduler, then you may want to be able to visually drag and drop these work activities for the individuals, or reassign it, okay, which would be a kind of, instead of a timeline view, I want to move it from Scott up to Amy and reassign that work that way. So just be aware there's multiple ways to process the information on this. It's called the resource Gantt chart view. Very handy view to control your schedule. Okay, so I want to keep going here. So that's the current resource assignment view. The third one is the resource sequence view. It's kind of like, I call it like a to-do list. And so let's go take a look at this. And I'm going to go to the, and just notice there's multiple tabs here. I've got 3 tabs showing. I'm going to go to the resource sequence view, and this is Mark Hansen's list. I could select anybody off the list. Let's just take a look at Mark's. So these are the activities in chronological order, so they are in a sequence of the work assigned to him. This could be exported to Excel if you need to get a physical hard copy of the work assignment. Often people don't do the Excel because the list changes so quickly that it's better to just view the information here on screen than to actually try to get a hard copy and carry that around, because as soon as you print it, it's out of date. So it just depends on how quickly your work activities are changing, depending on whether you would actually want to print it to Excel and then get a hard copy. One other comment while I'm here, I was thinking I wasn't going to show this, but there is another view that I think is important as well, and that's the calendar view. Some of you may want to actually export this information to your Outlook calendar. So you can view it first of all here. This is actually a 5th view, so I'm adding this into my recording. But this lets me see either weekly or daily or whatever display time frame I want. That's a week view. Maybe I want to see it for a month. I can see the work activities that are basically assigned, and then I can synchronize this to that particular person. So let's go back to Mark. So I can synchronize his work activities in a kind of a calendar format, and then of course this would then synchronize with your Microsoft Outlook calendar, so it could be right on his handheld phone to see the work activities. Okay, so wanted to mention that. Let's go back to my outline. So this is called the resource sequence and to-do list. I did show you one more view that I wasn't thinking about, but it is the calendar view. And then the 4th view, which is more kind of it's very interactive, is the dispatch board. In this segment, I'm going to take a look at the dispatch board, because part of what you've got to do is resource assignments. New orders come in, whether it's a job order or a service order. There's some new requirement that comes in, and you need to assign the technician to fulfill that work. There's a map functionality which really assists you, as well as skill sets that assist you in picking the very best technician to go do the work. So let's go take a look at this concept. I'll move that out of the way. So we're back on the planning board here. This shows me my existing plan, and I've noticed on my labor 20, which is where my new assignments come in, because it hasn't really been assigned to a person yet. So if the person that's setting up the new job, and I cover that in some of the other videos, they would select the appropriate technician to come and do that work. So let's take a look at this activity. Now notice this one, it's pretty small activity, but let's just see what we've got here. It's a 2-hour job, so it's almost like a service call. Might be an installation or an assembly or removal of product, whatever it might be. That's the work, but it's not assigned to a technician who the resource is. Now if you just flat out know that I'm going to have Mark do it, or I'm going to have Linda do it, then you can just pick them here. But if you want to use the advanced capabilities, the mapping and the skills management functionality, then let me show you this option, which is to choose the resource activity. This will actually bring up first of all, the location of the job. So let's see if we want Linda on this. So it looks like the job is up here in Chicago area. Linda's located, Linda and Mike, looks like they're both located there in Indianapolis. Let me drill in a little bit here. And we can see then here, I can go in one a little bit closer, and a lot of this depends on your business. There's Linda's location, there's Mike's location, and you can see there is the drawing of how to get to the job. Depending on whether you're at the city level or whether it's a state level, for the type of service and or jobs that you're doing, you'll adjust the view level to be appropriate. Now, a couple other things on the left side here. Here's my list of resources. The service zone is defined right now as X. That's the location of the customer. So the customer is located in the X zone. It could be central, it could be north. You will define the various service zones for your customers, and then of course we want to find the technician that works in those service zones. That kind of makes sense. Also, it shows the group. Now I could filter all of my installers, so I can apply additional filters up here to say, just let me see my installers, or let me just see my engineers. That would further filter the list of resources. If I remove a filter like this, okay, then it's going to show me all of my resources that are available. But often you don't want everybody, you want somebody just in that particular service zone, and this defaults in from the customer account. Okay, now one other little comment I'm going to make here is about the skill set. And I think this is really important for picking the very best technician to do that particular service call. Because that's what we're doing. As I'm the dispatcher, I'm doing a resource assignment for this particular task 1210 in this example. And it shows me here the skills that are assigned to Linda and Mike and Scott and to Amy. So Amy's an electrician, looks like she can speak French and she can do HVAC work. Whereas Scott is HVAC, he speaks Spanish, and he does welding. So you can define, based on your technicians up here, the work. So let's say for this particular job I need somebody that can do welding, so WELD, and it is going to further filter the list down to just my technicians that have that particular skill set. Okay, this is all to assist you in picking the very best resource for that particular job. Okay, so you make the selection. Okay, and your jobs may not be as far away as Chicago to Indianapolis. This is just an example. It may be within a smaller region, and then of course the map is going to adjust accordingly. And so now what we want to do is we've kind of finalized, so I'm the dispatcher and I kind of finalize who I'm going to pick to do this work based on the skills, based on the service zone, maybe based on distance to that location. There could be several criteria that could go into selecting the very best technician for this work. And so then I use the choice here called assign resource. What this is going to do, it's going to take that labor 10 task basically, and you see here it's now assigned that to Linda Martin. So we use this as an assist to selecting the appropriate resource, and then I approve that selection here. So I say OK, and it moves the task from the generic labor 20, and it's moved it down here on the board for me to Linda Martin. So very easy way to kind of help you assign resources or reassign resources based on skills, based on location, and other jobs that they've got in their current queue. So I hope you like this presentation. Let me just kind of real quick review of what we've looked at. Let's start from the top. We kind of did first a current work view. So this would be for the back office to kind of see what the jobs are, when they're going to be finishing up. That is the first view. Then it shows the current resource assignments. It lets me see by resource and the dates. This is a chronological kind of view of their work activity. And by the way, I just showed this looks like about a 3-week look ahead, but this could be 3 months look ahead depending on the nature of your business, or it could be just 1 week view. So you can kind of control, or even down to the day level, quite frankly. So you can kind of control the view level for your time scale up here across the top. And then the other thing I want to mention is this very nice resource sequence. This was the to-do list. It lets you see for each individual their individual work activities, and this can also be sent to your Outlook calendar and displayed there. So if they want this on their mobile device, that's available as well. And then the last thing I showed you was the dispatch board, where the new service orders or service calls or requests come in. New jobs, whatever in your term you use. Sometimes they're called work orders. They come in. We need to get that assigned to the very best technician. We use the skills management feature to select the person, and based on location, the service zone, and the skill sets, and being able to view it on the map as well. I think that's very handy to see it on the map. And then we assigned the one we selected, in this case Linda, would be assigned to do that particular piece of work. So that's a little summary of the resource planner software. And if you like what you see here, I hope you'll give me a call and ask for an in-depth personal presentation. Thanks so much.